And we are live. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Level Up Live. I am Dr. Sharita Gaskins-Tillett. I am your host. This is the show where we feature the amazing accomplishments of physician women. Sorry, I'm getting an alert that we're having trouble streaming to Facebook today. Okay. All right. Well, we're on YouTube and LinkedIn, so we'll just have to share to Facebook later on. But as I was saying, this is the show where we highlight the amazing accomplishments of physician women, both inside and outside of the exam room. I am really excited about tonight's guest. This is someone that I've been following for a long while, but this is the first time I'm actually getting to have a conversation with her. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to allow a couple of minutes for others to come on in. If you're watching us live, please say hello in the comments. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, I invite you to put your questions in the comments, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. And then I just want to thank everybody who has supported A Weekend for Me. A Weekend for Me, Puerto Rico starts to, no, not tomorrow, Thursday. Starts on Thursday. I'm leaving tomorrow. So I think that's why I think it's tomorrow. But I am so excited about the ladies who will be joining me in Puerto Rico and the transformations that they will experience. I can't wait to share all of it with you, through pictures and video and testimonials when we return. But it is going to be absolutely amazing. And if you've missed this one, don't worry. There are going to be two more next year. I'll be announcing those dates probably by the end of November. So just stay tuned. If you're not on the mailing list, go to www.weekendforme.com and join the mailing list so that you will be among the first to know when registration opens. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest this evening. So, I have joining me this evening Dr. Babalola, aka Dr. Babs. She is a triple board certified family, obesity, and lifestyle medicine physician, adjunct clinical professor at Morehouse School of Medicine, and the founding CEO of Living at Your Finest Wellness, a holistic direct primary care practice in East Cobb, Marietta, Georgia. She helps families live at their finest well being using a holistic approach with a healthy lifestyle so families can nourish and flourish as whole, vibrant, and healthy champions. As the main focus, these measures help prevent, treat, and reverse lifestyle related chronic diseases. Dr. Babs is blessed to be a wife, mother of three, author of an inspirational book, adventure seeker, lover of God, and community builder. Good evening. Welcome, Dr. Babs. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you. I am so pleased to be with you on your prestigious platform. Thank you for sharing this space with me. And it's an honor to finally get to speak with you and, followed your work as well. So I'm really thrilled to be here. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Likewise, likewise. So, I usually start by asking you to take us through your journey in medicine. Did you always want to be a physician? Tell us what happened. Tell us how you chose medicine and how you came to choose your specialty.
All right. Yeah, I love telling this story. So, I am one of those that knew that I wanted to be a doctor as far back as when I was 5 years old. I have no idea how that came about, but I just know that that is what I've said for years, and my parents can attest to that. So, it might be that being the oldest of five kids, I always had that nurturing, behavior. I really wanted to, care for everyone. Yeah, and it just played out that way. My father was in academia, so apparently he was in medical school, but then he lost his mom when he was in college and decided, well, there's no reason to study medicine any longer. The person I
Mhm.
wanted to care for has passed. So he went into neurophysiology. So I grew up in that environment, seeing him, talk about the brain, and I thought it was fascinating. And I would have my dolls, and like, oh, what's wrong with you? You're not feeling well. Let's fix you. So I was always in that fixing mode, and I felt like everything else was boring to me. And so I just had a passion for medicine. So fast forward many years down the line in medical school, I just really couldn't figure out what I really wanted to specialize in. It was everything. It was, taking care of kids. It was delivering babies. I knew I didn't want to be a surgeon. That's for sure. I knew I could not. Yeah, I knew
Yeah,
that. No
I
hours.
often say you're
Oh,
either a surgeon or you're not.
right. I just knew it. The number of hours, I dreaded it. I mean, like waking up at 5 a.m., that was it. I was like, no, I don't want to be a surgeon. Emergency room, I kind of crossed that out because I feel like I'm a very nosy person. I want to know what happens
Yeah.
next.
Yes,
So
the
I figured
follow-up.
that
You did
wouldn't
no
work for
follow-up.
me.
Yeah.
I'm so into continuity of care. I want to know what's going on. So really that's how I picked. I initially started off doing psych and then I felt so bored. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this day in, day out. As much as I love mental health and all the things surrounding it, I felt like I would be a more rounded person, seeing the whole person, right? Caring for every facet of the human being and family. So that's how I decided family medicine was the route to go. And that was my journey up to now. And I started off in academia, again, I guess following the path of my father, seeing him mark all those scripts over the years. I felt I love to teach. I have that passion. And so I did that for 15 years. And to the climax of my profession, I was a full professor, director of the medical students. So I did a lot, did research. I enjoyed the time that I spent in academia, but I was really passionate about spending more quality time with my patients. I valued the whole person, and I couldn't do that within 15, 20 minutes. As much as I
Right.
tried, I was that doctor always running behind, always several patients piled up, but they all
Yeah.
appreciated the fact that I took time to go into the root cause, educate them, but I was burnt out. I mean, I would have 26 patients to write my notes and I
Yes.
figured I really needed to shift and serve my patients at a different level outside the four corner walls of the academia practice. And that's when I transitioned to opening up my own direct primary care practice where I can focus on a holistic approach and lifestyle and affords me the time that I need with my patients.
So tell me something, you say it like this was an easy transition, and I'm sure that there was a lot that went into it. Tell me a bit about the mindset shifts and other things that had to take place for you to leave the safe place
Mm.
of academic medicine to go out into the wild and woolly
Oh, yeah.
direct primary care.
You can say that again, the wild and woolly. Yeah, so yeah, it took time. It took time. I say it like it was a breeze, but it wasn't. So I said I was in academia for 15 years. So somewhere, the first 5 years was cool. I was fine seeing that many number of patients. I mean, I connected with my patients. We loved, just the time spent with one another. But I knew that I was more focused on preventative. So I did a lot of group visits, group diabetes visits. There were lots of remarkable outcomes. But as time went on, and I was gearing away from that preventative focus, right? Because again, everything felt rushed. I started thinking about it. What am I going to do? I can't keep this up. I felt the burnout. My health was affected, gained so much weight. I was stressed. A lot of things were going on. And I just knew that I needed to change, but the timing just didn't seem right because for me, what's the option? I didn't want to hop into another system that was the same system, right?
Mhm.
And I did not want to open up my own practice. So I was like, this is a
Yeah.
safe place. I'm just going to stay here because I couldn't figure out, I didn't want to go into the same old. And I didn't want to open up my own practice because I felt that was so, I mean, kudos to women who men homes and take care of
Yeah.
kids and having to do that. I was like, that's just not for me because, I have 3 kids. I really wanted to. Academia afforded me that ability to raise them, right? Be there for them. So as much as I say, yes, I was burnt out when I was working. Yes, I was burnt out, but I had time to raise my kids, but I couldn't figure out where. So it took time of searching and praying, of inquiring. And somewhere around the pandemic period, when I got additional training in lifestyle medicine and obesity medicine, I was like, oh my gosh, the places I was applying to wanted me to leave Georgia, right? That were aligned with the way
Mhm.
I wanted to see patients,
Yeah.
right? Lifestyle approach, holistic approach, but I didn't want to leave. My kids didn't want to leave. When I mentioned it once, I was like, "Oh, we're going to move out of Atlanta." They were like, "Well, bye. We'll be seeing you.
You're gonna move out of Atlanta.
You're moving out. We're staying here." So I very quickly realized that yeah, nobody's going to follow me. So I started, praying about it, and with all that, I mean, that was like how many years it took me to finally decide in October, when the first patient I saw on my way to work, after, just asking God to lead me and guide me, that what should I do? Because initially I thought virtual, I'll do a virtual clinic, right? Because I had started living at your finest in 2020 during the pandemic.
Okay.
And then the patient, the first word she said, I've been seeing you for 7 years. I do not want to lose you, Dr. Babalola, but my daughter is moving and I have to move with her several miles away from the practice. Do you have your own practice? And for the first time, there was no fight, there was no battle. I just said, you know what, we might be up to something here. And I didn't fight it any longer. So yeah, so that was the journey. It took me being ready, and there was been no turning back after that, because you have to have that peace, in your heart, that, okay, this is what the Lord is telling you to do, at least in my case, and he's going to support me. He's going to follow me. So everyone around me that said, especially my kids said, why would you leave from certainty to uncertainty? What's that all about? But because I had the conviction, the next assignment was to figure out, was I going to take insurance or not? And the rest of it really was just peace after that. And we'll figure out all the other aspects of it. So
yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people, really do have that kind of thought about us, especially as physicians, because they see our profession as one of, where people are safe, and like you're protected from firing and whatever, so they think, right, that your job is secure. But it's not as secure as people may think, first of all. And second of all, I think people underestimate how much things change over time. You're not the same person that you were 15 years ago. And staying in and being in the same job maybe wasn't serving you the same. You had taken on the additional training with the lifestyle and obesity medicine. And, basically you had evolved into this new person. And then this person who, quite frankly, was probably too big for that practice. But it happens so in such tiny pieces that people don't see, and sometimes you don't see yourself.
That's
the,
right.
the evolution of it all.
That's right.
Yeah. But I think that happens for a lot of us, that we become someone else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
You
it's
grow.
time to do something else, and you're still serving.
Yeah.
Probably serving at a maybe even a higher level.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Because that was also part of my struggle. I felt like I was abandoning my patients, right? Because I'd known them for so many years. Um, so I felt like I was abandoning my patients. But yes, you're to your point. But again, we can serve in different ways and in different capacities.
Okay, I'm gonna cough. I'm sorry. I'm gonna mute it. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Active airways. And it often happens at the most inopportune time.
I've been there in Atlanta where we have pollens and stuff. Yeah, it happens.
Sorry.
That's all
So
right.
what has it been like since the transition?
Oh, yeah. So the transition. So I transitioned in July. June was my last month. And again, I had from October to June to prepare my mind. So it was just the decision, right? I made the decision in October, and the rest of it was just making the inquiry. So I'm someone that, community connections matters a lot to me. I always inquire, I ask questions. So for senior colleagues that have been in private practice, I spoke to them. I know that I will make my own mistakes, right? But I wanted to minimize how many of those mistakes I would make. So I asked questions, and people were gracious, right? They would share their experiences with me. And so I learned a lot during that preparation period, right? And the biggest challenge was finding a location. That took 4 months. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so, as many places as I thought would be happy to have at least a doctor. That was not my situation. But the good news is the final place that I got was actually the best place for me. So it was just perfect. So that was the biggest challenge, finding a location. And then the next challenge, really, a lot of people were very accepting, but me learning to become the doctor, the marketer, the everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so that's been a transition, but very quickly I adapt, right? I'm learning, I'm getting out of my comfort zone to go out there and tell people, I'm here. Networking is not an issue for me. It's just going out and selling myself. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yes.
That's been the biggest challenge, but I'm easing into it. So I'm getting the hang of it. So it's been 4 months now. I'm getting used to embracing being an entrepreneur physician
Yes.
and not having the guilt that I've abandoned anyone. I did have a few patients come along, but I'm learning to network and grow with others within the community.
Excellent. So tell me, what's the best part of it?
Oh, I love the best part is sitting down and not having to look at my clock and see, oh my gosh, I am like 15 minutes in and I have more patients waiting. That's been the best part. There's just nothing like spending quality time with patients and connecting with them. I see them as family members. I had a patient that came in, always had white coat hypertension.
Hmm.
Every doctor she'd been to, always nervous and anxious. She walked into my place. She said she just felt at ease. Blood pressure has never been the lowest that it's been. And we sat and she just felt so good. I felt at ease that she was, had her needs met
Yeah.
without feeling rushed, in a direct primary care practice. And a shout out to direct primary care. That's the way
Yeah.
to go, right? You have that personalized care, affordable accessibility, and appropriate visit. So that's been really the best part of it. I just love that I don't feel rushed. All of that feeling rushed and the burden of several charts that I have to write. I don't have to
Yes.
deal with that. I mean, I can put my notes down, but I don't have to deal with, insurance, paperwork. It's always paperwork, but I can
Right.
focus more
Right.
on patient care, right? Patient care and direct primary care. So that's really been the best part of it, serving my patients at their needs. And I love the community walk that I do with my practice. It's called Walk with the Doc. I don't know if you're familiar
Yes.
with that
I
organization.
am.
So my practice, we do that, and I love it. We go out the second Saturday of the month, 9 to 10. I invite guest speakers to come. Let's learn from each other, go on a walk. So that has been wonderful as well.
Excellent. Excellent. So what are your plans for, like say your 5-year plan for the practice?
Oh, I like that 5-year plan. Okay, let's see. Haven't looked that far, but let's give it a shot here. You'll be my you'll be the listener to my 5-year plan. I have all these ideas. They come in and out, but in terms of
Sure.
outlining the 5-year plan, well, so 5 years, definitely by then I should have reached my max number
Yes.
um, of membership. Um, I like to do multiple things. Like I speak at different events. I love to educate families about just being well, because I've had my own weight struggle and chronic diseases, which I've been able to reverse. Thankfully, so in my family too, I have some of my kids with weight. We like food. We're foodies in our house. So again, I really want to educate families, about being healthy. So I want to speak. I want to organize summits, things like that within the practice and expand in that capacity. So that's my goal. Really expand. I've had a few people say, they like the place so much that I would have franchise. I don't know about that. We'll see,
Mhm.
but we'll see about that. But I definitely want to expand into making it a community where we have multiple centers that are really channeling towards promoting wholeness and wellness and lifestyle habits and changes, but particularly more so for the younger generation and for mothers. So that's where I see in terms of building my employee, it's just me now. The front desk, back desk, everything. So I want to have more employees. I do have a virtual assistant. So those are the things that I see really for the future. And I want to feel that I'm comfortable enough to just really serve in the fullest capacity within that 5-year period.
Yeah.
So I hope I've touched it a little bit.
Well, it's your plan. So it can't be wrong, right? There was no wrong answer to that.
Thank you.
So I want to shift a little bit because when I read your bio, I did. say that you were a published author.
Yeah.
So tell us about your book.
Yeah, sure. So I wrote a book in 2010, and that book came out of the pain point that I was experiencing at that time. So I finished residency in 2007. I'm originally from Nigeria, and when I completed my training, I just had a struggle to get my naturalization, whether it's my immigration papers sorted out. It was delayed, and that caused a lot of problems. And I'm someone that is very proactive. I do things on time, I don't delay, because I know how things can always get out of hand. But unfortunately, it just, at the time, the system was just dragging. So I was frantic. I was like, oh my God, am I going to get out of status? What am I going to do? I have a little family. I had a toddler, a newborn. It was just a struggle. I had blood pressure problems. It was just a lot going on all at the same time. 3 blood pressure medicines, couldn't even get my blood pressure down. So I started journaling
Mm,
because I mean, my doctor sat next to me. I went to the emergency room having the worst headache ever. And he said, whatever is stressing you out, we've done all the tests, the MRI, everything, head CT, whatever. Nothing is showing why you're having this problem. So whatever it is, I remember the ER doc sat by my bedside and said, whatever is stressing you out, you need to learn to de-stress. And that was all he said. And I knew that the root cause of my blood pressure problems, of, the emotional eating really came from stress because I was overwhelmed. I was like, oh my
yeah.
gosh, what am I going to do? I've built this life now, my immigration issues. And I just did a journaling, and that was the answer. It was journaling. So I never started off wanting to write a book, but in the journaling, I found release of the stress. I started walking. I found somebody. I asked for help because I'm someone that wouldn't ask for help in
Mhm.
my old life. I would
Yeah.
do everything and be everything. But then I found help. And when I found it, I received it, because people can offer you help and you still refuse it. But
Right.
I received it, and I went walking, was able to lose weight, was able to find an outlet. And as I journaled, it became helpful for me. And I saw God work in miraculous ways, got my papers situated, everything worked out. And so that was why my book is titled My God, Even in the Last Minute. So, of course, at the time, I realized, you know what? If this book is helping me, I might as well turn it into, I mean, this journal was helping me
Yeah.
as well turn it into a book, which I'm grateful that I did. So it's self-published. I've had people reach out to me from all over the world. I mean, someone in Canada, someone in UK that stumbled upon my book and said that it helped them during a trying time. And so the love for writing actually started there. But I'd always journaled in medical school because I trained outside of Nigeria, but I lost it. We lose these things
Yeah.
that keep us grounded from time to time because of changes in life. But then I picked it up, and I realized that ever since then, I'm not going to drop it again, because it really was very releasing. It reduced my cortisol level. That's why I talk a lot about stress,
Yeah.
because I am a testament to stress alone causing your blood pressure to go up. Just that alone. So that's the summary about the book, and I'm really grateful to have that opportunity to write it. It was really a life changer for me.
So now, is the book available still?
Yes, it is. It's on Amazon. Yes, it's on Amazon, self-published on Amazon. It's titled My God, Even in the Last Minute. And,
Okay.
I'm
Well,
all whenever I
we will
see it.
definitely post the link in the chat
Yes, yes,
for sure.
definitely.
So now, um, you talked about how you used, journaling to lower your cortisol, lower your stress, and help your blood pressure. Is that what kind of made what made you interested in lifestyle medicine, seeing those kinds of changes in yourself?
Oh, yes, certainly, because there's tons of evidence that show that with these behavior, using it as your therapeutic modality, primary therapeutic modality. Now, medications do have a place, because I was on 3 blood pressure medicines
Sure.
and kept adding on, but unfortunately, it didn't. And maybe it will shift, it will come down. My highest was 220 over 120,
Oh,
and it will,
that's
yeah,
scary.
the worst headache ever for 4 days, and I didn't do anything until I felt a nudge. Well, go check your blood pressure. But I've never had blood pressure issues. Why would I want to check it? Anyway, I'm glad that I did. But yeah, so it will come down maybe 180, and then it will go back up. So it was just really very, very erratic. But yeah, but I've always had that preventative but I lost my way. I lost my way, all the things happening. But yes, to your point, the lifestyle, looking more for the evidence. How can I keep a transformation that is sustained? And I'm not, you hear of the diet cycle because
Right.
I've been on
True.
that merry-go-round, and then you gain weight and then you lose it and gain plus more. I wanted something that will be sustainable and transformational, and lifestyle medicine, learning about that definitely transformed my life. And I got off the diet cycle that
Yeah.
makes you feel like you've lost the battle. You're not setting out to win from the beginning. So yes, that certainly increased my power and zeal to promote that, because I, was a recipient of just changes and improved habits, and being able to get off the blood pressure medicine was a testament to the power of food and
Yeah.
all the other lifestyle pillars, stress relief, sleep, all those great things that we talk about. Physical activity was also one of it. Just walking. That's all I did, and I lost the weight and released the stress.
So now these are the tools that you use with your patients as well.
Yes.
So what kinds of, I guess first, how is it received by the patients? And second, what are some of the results that you have seen?
Yeah, so it's well received. And I find that a lot of patients actually, that's what they want. That's
Mhm.
what they want. They really want that. Yeah, it's just a time, unfortunately, in the traditional practice. So your doctors are not bad people. It's just they don't have the time to actually dive into those conversations with you. And I've had them really feeling so pleased and thankful that there's time to dive into. Even when I was in traditional practice and I would mention it, they will say, "Oh, I had no idea." And then I give them little tips here and there. What I say is I provide skills instead of
Yeah.
pills, right? So I had a patient, young guy, 26, blood pressure, 3 blood pressure. And he was like, "You know what, doctor, I think I need a fourth one because my blood pressure is not improving." And I said, well, what about, let's talk about your food, what you're eating, how are you moving? And then finding ways, because everybody already knows eating well and exercise will help. But the
Right.
question is, how do they do it? How do they incorporate it into their life? We naturally want to do things that are simple and easy. If I'm going to have to think about it, well, forget
Yeah.
it. I'm just going to default to what
Yeah.
I know. It might not be good, but that's what I know. And so, what I've done in my practice is that not only do I tell you, I have you, it's a shared decision. And then we look at your schedule. How can we fit it in? And some of them say, "Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't realize I could do that."
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
a patient the other day didn't, she always will go home she will walk, and she does that quite well. But then she would end up walking late in the evening and then eat late and then go to bed. And she was gaining weight. She was like, "I don't know why I'm walking," but she was eating late. So how
Yeah.
about when you leave work? Put your clothes in the car. You don't have to come home to change and
Yeah.
then go to walk. And she was like, "I never thought about that." And that's because, again, you need somebody who understands how to
Yeah.
incorporate. And so things like that, the outcome has been enormous. It's been great. They've seen benefits: improved blood pressure, improved glucose. Somebody had an A1C change from 10 all the way to 6.9.
Wow,
So
that's
yeah,
amazing.
remarkable changes. It
Yeah.
certainly is. And that's incorporating all those skills, and little by little, right? We don't do overwhelm because we don't want to stress the
Yeah.
body, right? But little by little, how can we make those little changes and a holistic change that can improve? And for the gentleman, when we reviewed his blood pressure and the foods he was eating, he just cut back on eating out. And by the time we'd worked with him, he had already cut back on one blood pressure medicine instead of adding on a third one, a
Right.
fourth
Right.
one.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, what do you do now to prioritize your own wellness and your own self care? Because it sounds, like you're very much about whole person health,
Yes.
taking care of your mind, your body, and your spirit. But, in this busy society that does not necessarily prioritize those things, how
Yeah.
are you able to maintain your balance?
Yes. So it's about creating boundaries. I have to create those boundaries, and I have to be intentional, because if I'm not, I can very quickly default back to my old ways, right? Because that's what my body is used to. So what I've done is I've created stops, right? Breaks, I call them. So, in the morning, I have my schedule, and everyone knows, my husband, my kids, they just know this is mommy's time. I love you, but when we gather, we gather. But when it's my time, it helps me show up at my best, at my optimal, right?
Yeah.
So I have to guard it jealously. And so I do that in the morning to help me show up in the day. So things like stretching, journaling, no matter how brief it is, it's not so much as in it has to be so long and lengthy. It's just the consistency,
Yeah.
right, that matters. And so even if it's a 5 minutes, I have my journal right by my bedside. I have my water that I fill before I go to bed. I put it by my bedside, drink my water. I have my journaling book, my deep breath that, wake up affirmation. This is the day the Lord has made. I rejoice and be glad. And then, all those things I do in the morning. At noon, my alarm goes off to pause me, to stop and, ask myself, what do I need? How am I feeling?
Mm.
It's a question, because I promise you, if I don't do that, I
That
will
is
be like,
huge. But that right there, I'm going to stop you right there because
yeah,
that is huge, especially for physicians and other professions. I was talking the other day. My niece is a hairstylist.
okay.
And so we were talking the other day about, going to the bathroom. That, that when you're in certain professions, you
Yeah,
hold it a long time
yeah,
because you're trying to do these other things. And I often talk about how in medicine, we were programmed to ignore every natural thing that came to us. If you're sleeping too bad, if you're hungry too bad, you need to pee
right.
too bad, because everything else comes first.
What's
And
about eating on
I
the go? You're eating on the go.
I
Yeah,
know, but
yeah.
I love that you stop and check in with
Oh,
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
that
if
you're honoring your personhood. I
Yeah,
love
it's on my phone at noon. It's like, what do you need? I mean, and I put it there. It's like it asks to remind me, how are you feeling? What do you need? And, so those questions,
it.
it prompts me, okay, is it water? Is it bathroom break?
Right,
And it's
right.
just the 15 minutes, really. That's it. And, you get in a habit, and we're creatures of habit. So you've done it repetitive, then you just do it. And then, of course, in
Yeah,
the evenings, before bedtime, so I have that 1 hour winding down. Now it does take practice, and there are times when I fall off. Not to say that I'm perfect, I am not.
yeah,
Like, during the holidays, which this is the part that I dread the most, because,
yeah,
if you have family and guests, I mean, that's also good. But how do I take myself out? But I think the important thing is, if people around you know what it is you do, then they would respect that. But if I find that when I don't tell them, then I feel like, okay, they'll wonder, where did she disappear to? Or maybe she's rude, she left us alone. But if people already know that this is part of what I do to help me
yeah.
stay grounded. So it's really just evolving and getting better. So those are some of the things that I do. And we hold ourselves accountable. Like, for instance, my husband will tell me, are you living at your finest at the moment doing what you're doing? And then my
You're
kids,
throwing your own words back at
they
you, huh?
throw my own words back at me. So I know that is the slogan in our house. Are you living at your finest? Everyone. So we check
Yes,
in on each other, and without judgment, we try, and then we redirect.
yes.
So those are the things that we do for sure, and it helps. It really does.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we're just about out of time, but if people are interested in working with you, well, actually, in any way, because you're an author, you're a speaker, you have your practice, you do the community walks. Tell us how they can get a hold of you and how they can follow all the wonderful things that you're doing for the community.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for this opportunity to share. So I love social connections. That is my superpower. I love to connect from people, be a blessing, be blessed by others. So the best way to get in touch with me, I am on Living at Your Finest Wellness on all social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, will just be my name, Dolapo Babalola. My website is either Living at Your Finest, you spell it out that way, or it's Live Wellness. So LAYF wellness.com. And love to connect with you. I do have a direct primary care practice in East Cobb, Marietta. So if you're in the Georgia area, in the Marietta area, it'll be my honor to care for you. Or if you know somebody that is looking for a doctor, a family physician, I say I go from cradle to cane, all ages. I love that continuity of care. I do have courses for people that are out of state, because I'm only licensed in Georgia to take care of patients. But I serve as a wellness strategist. So if you're needing like a 10-week wellness reboot program, I do have that, and I have some mini courses, self-guided. And so that would be the best way to get in touch with me. But all the information is on my website.
And you have a podcast too, right?
Yes, I do. And I'd love to invite you to come and join me and share your wealth of wisdom and expertise. But yes, my podcast is called Living at Your Finest. Yes, and it's on
Excellent.
all the different channels and platforms.
And we will be putting all of that information in the chat, so you can find Dr. Babs everywhere. So do that for sure. I'd like to end on the same question or variation of the same question. And so I guess for you, my question would be, if there's one single best thing that a professional woman can do to up level her health, her overall health, mind, body, spirit, what would it be?
One thing that you can do, just do it. Be consistent. It's not about, don't have the all or nothing mentality. Because
Yeah.
when you have that mentality, oh my goodness, you would want to, if you can't get it done in an hour or whatever time you get it done, you don't want to do it at all. It's just really, it defeats your ability to progress, no matter
Yeah.
how little it is. If it's just 1 minute, 2 minutes, you'll be amazed the difference that will be, whether it's in your nutrition, physical activity, whatever it is. Just please do it. Don't have that all or nothing mentality. Just be consistent, and you'll be amazed that little drops of water will become so big. Because again, my journey, I was so confused. I did not know what I needed to do, but I just kept putting in a little here and there, and then all of a sudden it became very, very clear where
Yes.
the journey was heading. So you are able and you're capable. Nothing is too difficult for you to do. You just got to
Yes.
believe it and keep moving.
So just like money interest, good habits,
Yeah.
the interest compounds. Yeah,
Yes.
so it compounds and just adds up to more.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
taking time
you.
out of your schedule to join me. It's been my pleasure to speak with you and finally talk to you directly after all of this time. I really appreciate it. Guys, check her out. Like I said, go and follow her, listen to the podcast, take her courses. Take control of your health. You actually have the power. You
Yes.
can control. You see. She talked about the blood pressure issue. She talked about the patient. She talked about her own blood pressure issue, but also talked about the patient with the blood pressure issue. You can change your life by the decisions that you make. So that's
Yes.
it for tonight. I ask for your prayers for us, those of us who will be traveling to Puerto Rico this week for a weekend for me. Like I said, we'll be sharing all the pictures and the videos and everything. And don't have FOMO. We can catch you next time. So that's it for tonight. Take care. Thanks for joining us. Bye bye.
Bye
And
bye.
thank you again, Dr. Babs.
Thank you, Dr. Gasson. Thank you.